Mountains have always gripped our imagination, towering, wild, and beautiful, pulling us in and pushing us beyond our limits. But not all mountains play by the same rules. Some shoot upward so fiercely their slopes look like they've been carved by lightning, challenging gravity itself, and making even seasoned climbers second-guess their life choices. Today, we're diving headfirst into these sky-piercing giants, the ones with inclines so steep your heart pounds just looking at them. From scary cliffs that demand balls of steel, to summits so sharp they seem impossible to conquer, it's time to gear up and brace yourself. Take a deep breath, find your footing, and keep your eyes locked ahead, because we're about to explore the 15 steepest mountains on Earth. Number 15, Amadablam. Amadablam is the Himalayas, let's say, is a beautifully lethal answer to the Matterhorn. We mean, just look at that. Standing proud at roughly 22,300 feet in eastern Nepal, this mountain is no gentle giant. It's steep, sharp, and demands absolute technical precision. Forget Everest's wide slopes. Amadablam throws climbers straight onto sheer rock and vertical ice. Its most dangerous section, the notorious Dablam Glacier, literally hangs like an icy necklace from the mountain's throat, ready to collapse at any moment. One wrong step here could unleash a devastating avalanche. First summited in 1961, Amadablam quickly became one of the region's toughest climbs. Visually stunning, with jagged ridges and striking snow-covered cliffs, the mountain's beauty masks extreme danger. Harsh weather and unstable ice ensure the ascent remains brutal and unforgiving. From space, its steep, pyramidal shape and sheer cliffs make it unmistakable, a terrifyingly beautiful sentinel rising from the Himalayan valleys below. Number 14, Nanga Parbat. Pakistan's Nanga Parbat, at 26,60 feet, earned the nickname Killer Mountain for a solid and very good reason. It's notoriously deadly, terrifyingly steep, and punishes climbers relentlessly. Unlike other massive Himalayan peaks with gentler slopes, Nanga Parbat rises abruptly and menacingly from the Indus Valley, dominating the skyline. Its infamous Rupal face towers nearly 15,000 feet, making it Earth's tallest vertical rock wall. Climbing this icy nightmare demands absolute precision, with near-vertical sections, constant avalanche threats, and unstable ice shelves. Dozens lost their lives before the first successful ascent in 1953, and even now it claims more than 1 in 5 climbers who dare to challenge it. From space, it looms dramatically, a stark contrast between pristine white slopes and lush valleys below. Visually stunning yet ruthlessly unforgiving. Its brutal steepness, unpredictable weather, and lethal history ensure Nanga Parbat remains among the planet's most dangerous and awe-inspiring peaks. Number 13, Mount Nuptse. Mount Nuptse might sit in Everest's shadow, but at 25,790 feet, it's no less brutal. In fact, it's arguably tougher. Just 2 kilometers west of Everest, Nuptse's near-vertical south face rises dramatically, a relentless 2,300-meter wall of ice and jagged rock. Unlike Everest's gradual slopes and well-worn paths, Nuptse offers climbers no relief, forcing them up to continuous, unforgiving terrain. First climbed in 1961, its lethal south face stayed unconquered until 1996, and even today, successful ascents remain incredibly rare. Climbers brave enough to tackle Nuptse face extreme technical challenges, brutal altitude sickness, and hallucinations at nearly 8,000 meters. Satellite views reveal Nuptse's terrifying steepness, its knife-edge ridges sharply contrasting with Everest's gentler summit slopes. Nuptse isn't just overlooked, it's actively avoided by most climbers, who recognize it as one of the steepest, most punishing peaks anywhere. It's a mountain reserved for those truly willing to risk everything. Number 12, Everest's Kangshung Face. Everest is famous, but its brutal Kangshung face is infamous. Rising nearly 11,000 feet on Everest's remote eastern side, this sheer wall of ice and rock is rarely climbed for good reason. It's insanely steep and deadly, Ice rarely settles here, constantly peeling off in massive, deadly chunks. Climbers face vertical ice, unstable rock, and continuous avalanches. First conquered only in 1983 by a daring American expedition, fewer than 5 teams have succeeded since. Unlike Everest's crowded standard routes with clear paths and rescue teams, the Kangshung face forces climbers to retrace their steps downward, repeating each terrifying move in reverse, knowing a single slip means certain death. The isolated location makes helicopter rescues nearly impossible, leaving climbers entirely alone against nature's full brutality. Satellite imagery reveals the Kangshung face as a stark vertical fortress, intimidating and unlike anything else on Everest. It remains mountaineering's ultimate challenge. Everest's steepest, most dangerous face, where even today, nature's raw power reigns supreme. Now let's move. Number 11. The Matterhorn. The Matterhorn isn't just another pretty mountain, it's the superstar of the Alps, shooting up like a razor-edged pyramid. And trust us, it's pretty deadly and dangerous. Rising over 4,400 meters between Switzerland and Italy, its signature triangle shape and insanely steep slopes make it both stunningly beautiful and deadly. Forget about gentle ascents and forgiving footholds. This mountain is all sheer cliffs and knife-edge ridges. Especially infamous is the North Face, a route climbers whisper about in awe. We're talking nearly vertical rock walls that stretch thousands of meters with zero mercy. No ledges, no breathing room, just raw exposure. Throw in constantly shifting rock formations, thanks to erosion, glacial melting, and wild temperature swings, and you've got one dangerously unpredictable climb. Even today, despite modern gear, the Matterhorn claims lives regularly. Over 500 climbers lost to its brutal terrain. Visually striking, incredibly steep, and undeniably deadly, the Matterhorn remains the ultimate alpine challenge. Number 10. Lhotse. Barely 2 miles from Everest, Lhotse rises 27,940 feet on the border of Nepal and Tibet, yet it's dramatically less crowded. Between 1955 and 2019, only around 55 climbers successfully made it to the summit, compared to thousands on its famous neighbor. In 2011, American guide Michael Horst stunned everyone by summiting Everest and Lhotse back-to-back within just 24 hours, an accomplishment previously thought impossible. Recently, though, Lhotse's popularity has climbed steadily as climbers seek quieter and cheaper routes away from Everest's overcrowding, especially since both peaks share the same road initially. Yet despite increased interest, the mountain isn't forgiving. 3 consecutive years, 2014, 2015, and 2016, saw tragic seasons when deadly avalanches, earthquakes, and climbing accidents prevented almost all attempts at summiting. From a distance, Lhotse might appear less intimidating, but make no mistake, it remains one of the toughest climbs around, with dangers that can strike suddenly, proving it's anything but Everest's gentler sibling. If you want to make your life joyful, must climb this peak. Number 9. Dhaulagiri. Rising majestically to 26,795 feet, Dhaulagiri dominates western Nepal as the tallest peak entirely in the country. Located alongside the Kali Gandaki River Gorge, considered the deepest valley on Earth, this imposing mountain is famous not just for its height, but its stunningly steep, glacier-coated peaks. Since its first successful ascent in 1960, over 550 climbers have stood on its summit, but the climb remains brutally difficult, filled with hidden crevasses and unstable ice. Interestingly, just like Everest, Dhaulagiri's rocky summit is made up of limestone and dolomite layers, once buried deep beneath ancient oceans before violent tectonic forces shoved them skyward millions of years ago. Yet despite these similarities to Everest, Dhaulagiri attracts far fewer climbers, preserving its wildness and challenge. It's the type of mountain that offers no easy routes or shortcuts. Anyone attempting to summit here faces constant threats from avalanche-prone slopes, harsh weather, and the thin, unforgiving air near the top. Number 8. Silla Grande. In the Peruvian Andes, Silla Grande rises at 20,000 feet, infamous for its brutally steep west face. This face is a vertical nightmare, 4,900 feet of sheer ice and crumbling rock, where climbers trust their lives to ropes precariously anchored in shifting ice. But it's not just steepness that makes this peak legendary. It's the mountain behind one of climbing's most terrifying survival stories. In 1985, British climbers Joe Simpson and Simon Yates tackled the west face. Disaster struck when Simpson shattered his leg. During their descent, Yates was forced into an impossible decision: cut the rope holding Simpson after he plunged off a cliff, thinking he was dead. Miraculously, Simpson survived the fall and crawled for 3 agonizing days back to camp, an ordeal immortalized in Touching the Void. Today, Sila Grande remains feared, with very few climbers brave enough to attempt its deadly ascent, making it one of Earth's steepest and most dangerous mountains. If you want to do something thrilling, this mountain will give you that thrill. Number 7. The Eiger. Don't go to its name. Standing at 13,115 feet, proudly, the Eiger in Switzerland's Bernese Alps is a true mountaineering nightmare. Nicknamed the Murder Wall, its nearly vertical north face shoots upward for 1,800 relentless meters of sheer ice and unstable rock. Unlike mountains that give climbers multiple routes to the summit, the Eiger leaves no escape, just a cold, brutal. Since its first successful climb in 1938 by a German-Austrian team, over 70 climbers have died attempting the same path. The scariest part, people down in the village of Grindelwald can watch climbers fail through telescopes, seeing tragic moments unfold in real time. Rescue efforts are often impossible due to crumbling rocks and sudden storms that trap climbers helplessly. From space, the Eiger looks like a massive wall, jutting abruptly from peaceful valleys, highlighting its terrifyingly steep presence. Even with modern gear, this peak remains a brutal test, reinforcing its reputation as one of Europe's most deadly mountains. Number 6. Annapurna Massif. Nepal's Annapurna Massif doesn't just claim lives, it devours them like a monster. Home to Annapurna I rising to 6,545 feet, this mountain holds the terrifying title of Earth's deadliest high peak, with a fatality rate exceeding. Unlike Everest's crowded slopes, Annapurna's massive south face is a sheer 3,000-meter, 9,800-foot wall of rock and ice, demanding absolute mastery of technical climbing. The unstable ice fields, frequent avalanches, and sudden Himalayan storms leave climbers with almost zero room for error. First conquered in 1950, Annapurna has remained notoriously lethal, deterring even seasoned mountaineers from attempting its summit. Satellite views make it appear like a fortress rising dramatically from surrounding valleys, with its impossibly steep faces and deep crevasses clearly visible. There are no gentle paths here, just sheer walls, unforgiving ice, and extreme exposure, firmly cementing Annapurna's reputation as not only steep and challenging, but also the deadliest mountain on Earth. Number 5. Gasherbrum. I sits ominously between China and Pakistan, towering at 26,510 feet in the remote Gilgit-Baltistan region. First summited in 1958 by an American team led by Nicholas Big Clinch, it remains unique among the world's tallest peaks, as the only 8,000er conquered initially by Americans. Despite this historical feat, Gasherbrum des Fars is rarely attempted, thanks to extreme weather, relentless cold, and dangerously thin air. Surrounded by massive glaciers, including the notorious Sayatan Glacier, this area isn't just famous for harsh climbing conditions. Sayatan is the world's highest military battlefield, at a dizzying 17,000 feet, witnessing decades of tense skirmishes between India and Pakistan. The sheer altitude, icy terrain, and volatile geopolitics make Gasherbrum's environment particularly hostile. Climbers tackling this unforgiving peak aren't just battling nature, but also risk straying near contested territory. Its reputation as one of Earth's toughest climbs is well earned. Every step up here is a test of survival, skill, and sheer determination. Number 4. Trango Towers. Deep in Pakistan's Karakoram range rise the Trango Towers, home to Earth's steepest rock walls. These granite pillars jut straight upward from glaciers, with the Great Trango Tower reaching a dizzying its east face alone rises an incredible 4,400 feet, straight vertical rock with virtually no ledges or footholds, forcing climbers into exhausting multi-day ascents. Climbers literally sleep suspended in mid-air, battling freezing temperatures, extreme winds, and snowstorms. First climbed successfully in 1984, Trango Towers remain reserved exclusively for the most elite climbers on the planet. Satellite images capture them as jagged, alien-like spires abruptly piercing the landscape, highlighting their unmatched steepness and intimidating presence. Unlike other mountains with gentler slopes, here every move is vertical, exposed, and risky. The Trango Towers are so sheer and demanding they feel almost unnatural, a testament to their brutal verticality, unparalleled difficulty, and the ultimate challenge to human courage. Number 3. Grandes Jorasses. The Grandes Jorasses, nestled in the Mont Blanc Massif between France and Italy, isn't your ordinary steep climb. Standing just over 4,200 meters high, this peak is infamous for its north face, a sheer, terrifying 1,200-meter wall of brittle rock and unstable ice. It's one of the Alps' legendary 6 great north faces, notorious for terrifying difficulty and extreme risk. Imagine massive ice towers looming overhead, capable of collapsing without warning, and violently stormy weather trapping climbers mid-climb. First conquered in 1935 after decades of attempts, this wall still commands enormous respect among mountaineers. Even today, despite improved gear and forecasting, the Grandes Jorasses is reserved for only the bravest and most experienced climbers. From above, it rises dramatically, casting an intimidating shadow over snowy valleys below, a stark monolith slicing the sky. Steep beyond reason, fiercely dangerous, and visually stunning, the Grandes Jorasses remains Europe's ultimate vertical dare. Number 2. Cerro Torre. Hidden deep in Patagonia, Cerro Torre isn't about height, it's all about extreme steepness and relentless technical difficulty. And we're not kidding. Standing at about 10,262 feet, this granite spire straddles Argentina and Chile and is considered one of the most challenging mountains to climb anywhere. Its near-vertical walls are coated in unstable ice, topped by a constantly shifting ice mushroom that makes the final push insanely dangerous. Patagonia's brutal, unpredictable weather, think hurricane-level winds and freezing storms, means climbers must battle nature itself. The first undisputed climb wasn't even recorded until 1974, and today, barely a handful of climbers reach the summit each year. Satellite images reveal Cerro Torre as a needle-thin, jagged spire piercing sharply from vast glaciers, clearly highlighting its intimidating, near-impossible profile. There's no gentle reach here, just vertical granite, shifting ice, and howling winds, making Cerro Torre one of the steepest and most technically unforgiving peaks on Earth. Number 1. Mount Thor. Want to experience the snowy feeling of Agar? Well, don't worry too much, this mountain is what you're looking for. It's Canada's fierce granite giant. Located in the icy wilderness of Baffin Island, this mountain isn't just steep, it's borderline impossible. Thor boasts the world's tallest sheer vertical drop, a mind-blowing 1,050-meter cliff plunging downward at an insane average angle of 105 degrees. Yep, that's right, it doesn't just drop straight down, it actually hangs outward, defying gravity and sanity alike. If someone slipped here, they'd literally free-fall over a kilometer before hitting the ground. The rock face is relentlessly smooth granite, offering almost zero spots for climbers to rest or catch their breath. Since its first successful ascent in 1985, it's become an ultimate daredevil spot, drawing climbers who crave the extreme. From space, Thor slices through the barren Arctic landscape like nature's own dagger, uncompromisingly sheer, visually wild, and brutally steep. Mount Thor is Earth's ultimate vertical thrill. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.